Welcome back to Boring Science for Sleep, a quiet place where gentle stories about our universe help the mind slow down and drift toward rest. Tonight, we are going somewhere very deep. Imagine standing beside the ocean long after sunset. The sky above is dark and calm, scattered with quiet stars. The wind is soft, and the waves roll slowly against the shore in a steady rhythm that almost sounds like breathing. From where you stand, the ocean appears endless but peaceful, just a dark, quiet surface stretching far into the night. But beneath that calm water lies a world very few people have ever seen. If you could slowly descend beneath the surface, passing through layers of deep blue water, moving farther and farther away from the light, you would eventually reach a place deeper than any mountain is tall. A place known as the Mariana Trench. Hidden in the western Pacific Ocean, the Mariana Trench is the deepest part of the entire world's ocean. It is not simply a deep valley in the sea. It is a vast, curving scar in the Earth's crust stretching for thousands of kilometers across the ocean floor. And at its deepest point lies a place called Challenger Deep. If you could place Mount Everest, the tallest mountain on Earth, into this trench, its summit would still remain far below the surface of the sea. The water above it would tower like a silent, crushing sky. Down there, the pressure is almost impossible to imagine. The darkness is complete. The temperature is near freezing. And yet, life still exists. Strange creatures drift through the black water. Tiny organisms crawl across the soft sediments of the ocean floor. And the silence is deeper than almost anywhere else on our planet. For centuries, this hidden world remained completely unknown. Even today, we have explored more of the surface of the moon than we have of the deepest parts of our own oceans. The Mariana Trench remains one of the most mysterious places on Earth, a place of darkness, pressure, and quiet wonder. So tonight, we will slowly descend into this silent abyss together. We will explore the deepest trench on Earth, discover the strange creatures that live there, and learn how this hidden world formed beneath the Pacific Ocean. But before we begin our descent into the deepest place on Earth, I'm curious about something. Where are you watching from tonight? And what time is it there right now? Many people around the world listen to these quiet science stories as they fall asleep. So wherever you are, whether it's late at night, early in the morning, or somewhere in between, feel free to share your corner of the world. Now, get comfortable. Let your breathing slow down, and imagine the ocean growing deeper and darker as we gently begin our journey into the Mariana Trench. If you were to look at a map of the world's oceans, the Mariana Trench would appear as a long, quiet curve in the western Pacific Ocean. It stretches through a remote part of the sea, far from most continents, lying to the east of the Mariana Islands, a small chain of volcanic islands that rise gently from the ocean's surface. From above, the ocean in this region looks like any other part of the Pacific. The waves move calmly. Clouds drift across the sky. Ships sometimes pass through these waters on long journeys across the ocean. Yet far below the surface lies something extraordinary. The Mariana Trench is the deepest known place in all of Earth's oceans. It is not just a single hole or pit in the seafloor. Instead, it is a vast trench, a long, narrow valley carved into the ocean floor. The trench curves like a giant arc beneath the Pacific Ocean and stretches for about 2,500 kilometers, which is roughly 1,550 miles long. To imagine that distance, picture a line stretching across an entire country. It is longer than many mountain ranges on land, and yet it remains hidden beneath kilometers of seawater. The trench itself is also surprisingly narrow compared to its length. On average, it is about 70 kilometers wide, a deep, steep-sided valley lying in complete darkness. If you could fly above it, with the ocean drained away, you would see towering walls of rock descending into an enormous abyss. But of course, the trench is not empty. Above it sits an immense column of water heavier and deeper than almost anywhere else on the planet. At the very bottom of this trench lies the deepest point known in the entire ocean, a place called Challenger Deep. Challenger Deep sits near the southern end of the Mariana Trench. Its depth is difficult to imagine because it goes far beyond the scale of everyday experience. Measurements vary slightly depending on the method used, but scientists estimate that Challenger Deep reaches about 10,900 meters below sea level. That is nearly 11 kilometers down. To understand just how deep that is, scientists often compare it to the tallest mountain on Earth. Mount Everest rises about 8,849 meters above sea level. If Everest were placed inside the Mariana Trench, its peak would still remain more than 2 kilometers underwater. Even the tallest mountain on Earth would disappear beneath the ocean there. Another way to picture it is to imagine a stack of skyscrapers. If you stacked dozens of the world's tallest buildings on top of each other, they still would not reach the surface. This incredible depth creates an environment unlike almost anywhere else on Earth. Sunlight cannot reach these depths. In fact, sunlight disappears long before the trench even begins. By the time you descend about 1 kilometer beneath the ocean surface, the last faint traces of daylight vanish. Everything below that level exists in permanent darkness, and Challenger Deep lies nearly 10 times deeper than that. The darkness there is complete. It is a world where the only light comes from rare scientific instruments, or from the faint glow of certain deep-sea organisms that produce their own light. But darkness is not the only extreme condition in the trench. The water pressure is also almost unimaginable. At the bottom of Challenger Deep, the weight of the ocean above presses down with a force more than 1,000 times greater than the air pressure at sea level. Every square centimeter experiences crushing pressure from the massive column of water above. If an ordinary submarine or diving suit were placed there, it would collapse instantly. Only specially designed deep-sea vehicles can survive such conditions. And even those machines must be built with thick metal hulls and carefully engineered structures to withstand the crushing force of the deep. For a long time, people believed nothing could live under such pressure. It seemed impossible that any creature could survive there. And yet, as scientists would eventually discover, life has found a way to adapt even to these extreme depths. But before we reach the bottom of the trench, we must imagine the long journey downward. The Mariana Trench does not suddenly drop from the surface to its deepest point. Instead, the ocean floor gradually slopes downward. First come the wide plains of the deep ocean floor. Then the terrain begins to change. The ground slowly tilts downward, forming the enormous valley of the trench. As the descent continues, the walls of the trench grow steeper. The darkness deepens, and the silence becomes more complete. Finally, after many kilometers of descent, the seafloor reaches its deepest hollow, a quiet basin of soft sediments and scattered rocks. This is Challenger Deep, the deepest known place on Earth. It is a location so remote and difficult to reach that fewer people have visited it than have walked on the moon. For most of human history, the Mariana Trench remained completely unknown. Sailors crossed the Pacific Ocean without realizing that beneath their ships lay the deepest place on the planet. Only with the development of modern science and ocean exploration did we begin to understand the immense depths hidden beneath the sea. And even today, the trench remains largely unexplored. Most of its valleys, slopes, and hidden corners have never been seen by human eyes. The Mariana Trench is not just the deepest place on Earth. It is also one of the most mysterious. A quiet world of darkness, pressure, and strange life forms waiting far below the waves. And as we continue our slow journey into this silent abyss, we will begin to understand how such an extraordinary place came to exist in the first place. Because the Mariana Trench did not simply appear, It was shaped by powerful forces deep within our planet, forces that have been slowly shaping the ocean floor for millions of years. In the next part of our journey, we will explore those hidden forces beneath the Earth's crust and discover how the slow movement of the planet itself created the deepest trench in the ocean. To understand how the Mariana Trench came to exist, we need to imagine something happening far beneath the ocean floor. The surface of our planet may appear solid and unmoving, but in reality the outer layer of Earth is slowly shifting all the time. This outer layer is called the Earth's crust, and it is broken into enormous pieces known as tectonic plates. These plates are not small. Some of them are thousands of kilometers across and include entire continents and vast stretches of ocean floor. The Pacific Ocean itself sits atop one of the largest tectonic plates on Earth, the Pacific Plate. But these plates are not fixed in place. Deep beneath them lies a hot, slowly flowing layer of rock called the mantle. The mantle moves very slowly, almost like thick honey circulating deep inside the planet. And as it moves, it gently pushes and pulls the tectonic plates resting above it. The movement is extremely slow. Most plates move only a few centimeters each year. That is about the same speed that your fingernails grow. Yet over millions of years, even this slow motion can reshape entire oceans and continents. Sometimes tectonic plates move away from each other, forming new ocean crust. Sometimes they slide past each other, causing earthquakes. And sometimes two plates move toward each other. When that happens beneath the ocean, something remarkable can occur. If one plate is heavier than the other, it begins to sink downward beneath its neighbor. This process is called subduction. The Mariana Trench exists because of one of these subduction zones. In this region of the Pacific Ocean, the massive Pacific Plate is slowly moving toward another tectonic plate, known as the Philippine Sea Plate. When these two plates meet, the edge of the Pacific Plate begins to bend downward. Very slowly, it sinks beneath the Philippine Sea Plate and descends into the mantle below. Imagine pushing one sheet of paper slowly beneath another. As the paper bends and slides downward, a long crease forms along the edge. Something similar happens on the ocean floor. As the Pacific Plate bends downward into the mantle, it creates a deep valley along the boundary where the two plates meet. That valley becomes a trench. Over millions of years, this bending and sinking has carved one of the deepest scars on the planet. And that scar is the Mariana Trench. But this process is not sudden. It unfolds slowly across immense spans of time. The Pacific Plate continues to move, inch by inch, every year. And as it moves, more of its crust is slowly pulled downward into the mantle. This descending slab of ocean crust may eventually travel hundreds of kilometers beneath the surface of the Earth before it begins to melt and mix back into the mantle. In this way, the surface of the planet is constantly being recycled. Old ocean crust sinks into the Earth. New crust forms elsewhere along mid-ocean ridges. The ocean floor is never completely still. The Mariana Trench is one of the most dramatic results of this slow geological dance. Where the Pacific Plate bends downward, the ocean floor drops sharply into the deep trench. The slope can be incredibly steep in some areas, forming towering underwater cliffs that descend into darkness. And because the Pacific Plate continues to sink, the trench itself remains active. Tiny earthquakes occur along the boundary where the plates meet. These tremors are usually too small to notice at the surface, but they are signs that the Earth's crust is constantly shifting deep below the sea. Subduction zones like the Mariana Trench are also responsible for another feature of our planet chains of volcanic islands. When the descending plate sinks deep into the mantle, it begins to release water and other materials trapped within the rock. These materials rise upward through the mantle and help generate molten rock, or magma. That magma slowly rises toward the surface and can eventually form volcanoes. In the region of the Mariana Trench, This process created the Mariana Islands, a chain of volcanic islands that sit just west of the trench itself. These islands are like the visible peaks of a much larger geological system hidden beneath the ocean. The trench marks the place where the ocean crust sinks downward. The islands mark where molten rock rises back toward the surface. Together they reveal the slow but powerful forces shaping the earth beneath the sea. Yet despite this immense activity, the trench itself remains a quiet place. There are no crashing waves or violent eruptions in the depths. Instead, the geological forces that form the trench move slowly and silently, centimeter by centimeter, year by year. Over millions of years, these movements have created one of the deepest landscapes on Earth. And the Mariana Trench continues to deepen and evolve even today. The process of subduction never truly stops. The Pacific Plate continues its long descent into the mantle. And as it does, the trench remains a living feature of our planet's geology. A reminder that the Earth beneath our feet and beneath the oceans is never completely still. But the trench is not defined only by the forces that created it. It is also defined by the extraordinary environment found within its depths. Because as we descend deeper into the Mariana Trench, the conditions become more extreme than almost anywhere else on Earth. The darkness grows absolute, the cold becomes constant, and the pressure increases to levels that seem almost impossible for life to endure. Yet somehow, life has adapted to survive even in these crushing depths. And in the next part of our journey, we will slowly descend into the deepest layers of the ocean to explore what that environment is truly like. The silent world known as the hadal zone, the deepest realm of the sea. If we want to understand the Mariana Trench, we must imagine a slow journey downward through the ocean itself. From the surface, the sea can appear bright and alive. Sunlight reflects off the waves. Fish swim in clear blue water. Plants drift gently with the currents. But the deeper you travel, the more the ocean begins to change. The sunlight fades, the water grows darker, and the world becomes quieter. Oceanographers often describe the ocean as being divided into layers, each with its own conditions of light, temperature, and life. Our descent begins at the very top, the sunlit zone. This upper layer of the ocean reaches down about 200 meters, or roughly 650 feet. Here, sunlight still penetrates the water, allowing plants and microscopic algae to grow. Most marine life that humans are familiar with lives within this layer. But as we continue to descend below this zone, sunlight quickly begins to disappear. Between about 200 meters and 1,000 meters, the ocean enters a region called the twilight zone. In this layer, the light becomes dim and blue. It is not bright enough for plants to grow, but faint traces of sunlight still filter down from above. Many strange creatures live here, animals with enormous eyes designed to capture even the faintest glimmers of light. Yet the Mariana Trench lies far below even this twilight world. As we descend beyond 1,000 meters, the last traces of sunlight vanish completely. This region is known as the midnight zone. Here, darkness becomes absolute. There is no sunrise, no sunset, no glow from the surface. The ocean becomes a vast, black expanse where the only light comes from rare flashes of bioluminescence, living creatures producing their own soft glow. The temperature also begins to fall. While the surface ocean may feel warm under the sun, the deep ocean is much colder. In the midnight zone, the temperature usually drops to just a few degrees above freezing, and it remains like this almost everywhere in the deep sea. Cold, still, silent. But our journey is not finished, because the Mariana Trench lies far deeper than the midnight zone. As we continue descending, the pressure of the water above us steadily increases. Pressure in the ocean grows quickly with depth. For every 10 meters of water, the pressure increases by about 1 atmosphere, the same pressure we feel at sea level. At a depth of 1,000 meters, the pressure is already more than 100 times greater than at the surface. At 5,000 meters, the pressure becomes even more intense. And by the time we approach the Mariana Trench, the pressure becomes almost unimaginable. But before we reach the trench itself, we enter another ocean layer known as the abyssal zone. This region lies between roughly 4,000 and 6,000 meters below the surface. The seafloor here stretches across enormous plains called abyssal plains, which are some of the flattest regions on Earth. These plains are covered in fine sediments that slowly drift downward from the upper ocean over thousands of years. The environment here is incredibly calm. There are no storms, no waves, only a slow rain of microscopic particles sinking through the dark water. But even the abyssal zone is not the deepest layer of the ocean. For the deepest trenches, including the Mariana Trench, scientists use a special name for this environment. It is called the hadal zone. The word hadal comes from Hades, the ancient Greek name for the underworld, and it is a fitting name. The hadal zone includes depths from about 6,000 meters down to the very deepest parts of the ocean trenches. Only a small portion of the ocean reaches these depths, but the environments found there are some of the most extreme on the planet. When we finally reach the upper edges of the Mariana Trench, the descent becomes steeper. The ocean floor begins to drop sharply into a vast underwater valley. The walls of the trench rise like dark cliffs on either side, and the darkness deepens even further. Here in the hadal zone, the pressure becomes astonishing. At the deepest point of the Mariana Trench Challenger Deep, the pressure is more than 1,000 times greater than the air pressure at the surface. That means every square inch of an object experiences thousands of pounds of force pressing down upon it. If you could somehow stand at that depth without protection, the pressure would crush your body instantly. Even many deep-sea creatures that live in the abyssal zone cannot survive such conditions. Only specially adapted organisms are capable of living in the hadal depths. The cold also remains constant. Temperatures near the bottom of the Mariana Trench usually hover between 1 and 4 degrees Celsius, just slightly above freezing. The water moves slowly here. Currents are weak, and the darkness is permanent. Yet despite these extreme conditions, the hadal zone is not completely empty. Small creatures crawl through the sediments. Strange shrimp-like animals drift across the seafloor, and delicate organisms move slowly through the black water above. Life in the hadal zone must adapt to survive under crushing pressure. Their bodies often lack rigid structures that could collapse under pressure. Instead, many deep-sea organisms have soft, flexible tissues that can withstand the immense force surrounding them. Some animals also produce special molecules that protect their cells from being damaged by pressure. These biological adaptations allow life to persist even in the deepest trenches. But the hadal zone remains one of the least explored environments on Earth. Only a handful of human expeditions have ever reached the bottom of the Mariana Trench. Most of what we know comes from robotic probes and remotely operated vehicles that descend slowly into the abyss. Each descent reveals new details about this silent world, new species, new geological formations, and new questions about how life can survive under such extreme conditions. Descending into the Mariana Trench is not like exploring a mountain or forest. It is more like traveling to another planet, a place where darkness is constant, pressure is immense, and the rules of life are very different from those on the surface. And yet, even deeper mysteries await us. Because the most astonishing challenge of the trench is not only the darkness or the cold, it is the incredible pressure found at the bottom, a force so powerful that it shapes every object and every living creature that exists there. In the next part of our journey, we will explore this crushing force more closely and discover just how extraordinary the pressure of the deep ocean truly is. As we continue our quiet descent into the Mariana Trench, one invisible force becomes more powerful with every meter we travel downward. It is not something we can see. It has no color and no sound. Yet it is the most powerful condition shaping the deepest parts of the ocean. That force is pressure. At the surface of the Earth, we are surrounded by pressure all the time. The air above us presses gently downward, creating what scientists call one atmosphere of pressure. We rarely notice it. Our bodies are perfectly adapted to living under this pressure, and it feels completely normal to us. But in the ocean, pressure behaves very differently. Water is far heavier than air, and as you descend into the ocean, the weight of the water above begins to build. For every 10 meters of depth, the pressure increases by roughly 1 additional atmosphere. At 100 meters, the pressure becomes 10 times stronger than what we feel at sea level. At 1,000 meters, it reaches around 100 atmospheres. Already, this is enough pressure to crush many ordinary objects. Yet the Mariana Trench lies far deeper than this. As we continue descending through the hadal zone toward the bottom of Challenger Deep, the pressure continues to rise steadily. At the deepest point of the trench, about 10,900 meters below the surface, the pressure reaches more than 1,000 atmospheres. That means the force pressing down on every surface is more than 1,000 times greater than the pressure we experience at sea level. To imagine this force, scientists often describe it in terms of weight. At the bottom of the Mariana Trench, the pressure is roughly equal to 50 jumbo jets pressing down on a single human body. It is an almost unimaginable force. If an ordinary submarine, diving suit, or metal container were taken to that depth, the structure would collapse instantly. Even thick steel would crumple under the crushing pressure. The deep ocean is therefore one of the most challenging environments for exploration. Human technology must be carefully engineered to survive such extreme conditions. The very first successful journey to the bottom of the Mariana Trench took place in 1960, when a deep-sea submersible called the bathyscaphe Trieste descended into Challenger Deep. The Trieste was unlike traditional submarines. Instead of a long metal vessel designed to move quickly through the water, it was built like a small steel sphere attached beneath a large floating structure. The reason for this unusual design was simple. A sphere is one of the strongest shapes when it comes to resisting pressure. The passenger compartment of the Trieste was a thick steel sphere with walls more than 12 centimeters thick. Inside that sphere, 2 explorers slowly descended into the deepest place on Earth. The journey downward took nearly 5 hours. As they descended deeper and deeper, the pressure outside their vessel increased to extraordinary levels. Yet the steel sphere protected them from the crushing force surrounding them. Finally, after hours of descent, the Trieste reached the bottom of Challenger Deep. When the explorers looked outside their small viewing window, they saw a silent landscape of fine sediment covering the ocean floor. The darkness was complete, and the pressure outside their vessel was greater than anywhere else humans had ever traveled. Since that historic dive, only a handful of missions have reached the deepest parts of the Mariana Trench. Modern deep-sea submersibles use advanced materials and engineering techniques to withstand the extreme environment. Some are crewed vehicles carrying scientists inside. Others are robotic probes controlled remotely from research ships at the surface. These robotic explorers are often called ROVs, or remotely operated vehicles. They are connected to ships above by long cables that provide power and communication. ROVs can descend thousands of meters into the ocean and capture images of the seafloor, collect samples, and study the mysterious creatures living there. In recent years, new types of deep-sea vehicles have also been developed. These include autonomous underwater vehicles, sometimes called AUVs. Unlike ROVs, these machines are not connected to ships by cables. Instead, they are programmed to travel independently through the ocean, mapping the seafloor and gathering scientific data. The development of these technologies has allowed scientists to explore regions of the ocean that were once completely unreachable. Yet even today, reaching the deepest parts of the Mariana Trench remains incredibly difficult. The immense pressure places strict limits on the design of any vehicle that attempts the journey. Every bolt, every window, every seal must be carefully engineered to prevent catastrophic failure. Even small mistakes in design could cause a vessel to collapse under the crushing force of the deep ocean. Because of this, deep-sea exploration requires patience and careful planning. Each mission is the result of years of engineering and scientific preparation. But despite these challenges, scientists continue to explore the Mariana Trench. Each expedition reveals new details about the geology, chemistry, and biology of the deepest ocean. And sometimes, even under such extreme pressure, they discover something surprising. Because despite the crushing force of the deep ocean, life has managed to survive even in these depths. Small creatures move across the trench floor, delicate organisms drift through the water above, and the silent world of the Mariana Trench continues to support life in ways scientists are still trying to understand. In the next part of our journey, we will meet some of these extraordinary inhabitants, the strange and delicate creatures that live in the deepest parts of the ocean far below the reach of sunlight. As we arrive at the floor of the Mariana Trench, the darkness feels almost complete. There is no sunlight here, no gentle glow from the moon. The water above forms a towering column nearly 11 kilometers deep, blocking every trace of light from the surface. At first, it might seem like nothing could live in such a place. The pressure is immense, the water is near freezing, and the darkness is permanent. For many years, scientists believed the deepest ocean trenches were lifeless deserts. But slowly, through careful exploration, they discovered something remarkable. Even here, in the deepest parts of the ocean, life exists. The creatures that live in the hadal zone, the deepest ocean layer, are very different from the animals we see in shallower seas. They are adapted to survive under crushing pressure and in complete darkness. Many of them appear delicate and strange, almost ghost-like in the dim light of research submersibles. One of the most fascinating inhabitants of the Mariana Trench is the hadal snailfish. This small, pale fish lives at depths greater than 8,000 meters, making it one of the deepest living fish ever discovered. The hadal snailfish looks soft and fragile. Its body is almost translucent, and its bones are very thin. This softness is not a weakness. In fact, it is an important adaptation. Rigid skeletons and hard structures can break under the extreme pressure of the deep sea, but the snailfish's flexible body allows it to survive where many other animals could not. Scientists have observed these fish drifting gently just above the seafloor, searching for tiny prey in the sediments. They move slowly through the water, conserving energy in an environment where food is scarce. Another group of animals commonly found in the Mariana Trench are amphipods. Amphipods are small crustaceans related to shrimp and crabs. Most amphipods found in shallow waters are quite small, often no larger than a fingernail. But in the deep ocean trenches, some amphipods grow surprisingly large. These creatures are sometimes called giant amphipods, although they are still small compared to most animals. Their bodies are pale and slightly transparent, and they crawl slowly across the seafloor searching for food. Food in the hadal zone usually arrives from above. Tiny fragments of organic material drift down from the upper ocean in what scientists sometimes call marine snow. This constant but very slow rain of particles provides nutrients for deep-sea organisms. Occasionally, larger pieces of food fall to the trench floor. The body of a dead fish or whale sinking through the water can become a rare feast for deep-sea scavengers. When such food arrives, amphipods quickly gather around it, feeding until the remains are gone. Despite the extreme pressure, these small animals are remarkably successful in the hadal zone. They are often among the most abundant creatures living in the deepest trenches. Another surprising feature of many deep-sea organisms is their transparency. In the absence of sunlight, camouflage works differently. Bright colors are useless in total darkness. Instead, some creatures have evolved bodies that are nearly invisible. Their tissues are clear or faintly milky, allowing them to blend into the surrounding water. This transparency can make them difficult for predators to detect. It also gives many deep-sea creatures an almost ethereal appearance. When illuminated by the lights of a research submersible, these animals often seem like delicate floating ghosts drifting through the black water. Some deep-sea creatures also produce their own light through a process called bioluminescence. This glowing ability allows animals to communicate, attract prey, or confuse predators in the darkness. In the Mariana Trench itself, bioluminescence is less common than in shallower parts of the deep sea, but it still appears occasionally. A sudden flicker of light may appear briefly in the darkness, a tiny signal in an otherwise silent world. The ability of life to survive under such extreme pressure has fascinated scientists for decades. At the bottom of the trench, the pressure affects the chemistry of living cells. Proteins and enzymes that allow life to function can be damaged by such intense force. To survive, hadal organisms produce special molecules that help stabilize their cellular structures. These molecules act like protective shields, allowing biological processes to continue even under immense pressure. Their cell membranes are also adapted to remain flexible despite the cold temperatures and crushing force surrounding them. Without these adaptations, life at such depths would not be possible. Even the way these animals reproduce and grow is influenced by the extreme environment. Food is scarce in the trench, so many creatures grow slowly and conserve energy whenever possible. Movement is gentle and deliberate. Nothing in this environment wastes energy unnecessarily. The sea floor itself is usually covered in fine sediments, soft layers of particles that have slowly settled through the ocean over thousands of years. Small creatures burrow through these sediments searching for nutrients. Others crawl slowly across the surface, leaving delicate tracks behind them. Occasionally, scientists observe unusual animals whose forms seem almost alien. Transparent sea cucumbers drifting just above the seafloor. Strange worm-like creatures living in the sediments. Tiny crustaceans with delicate limbs adapted for life under pressure. Each new expedition to the Mariana Trench reveals more of these remarkable organisms. And with each discovery, scientists are reminded that life can adapt to environments far more extreme than once imagined. The creatures of the hadal zone are not large or powerful. They do not move quickly or dramatically. Instead, they live quietly in one of the harshest environments on Earth. A silent community of delicate life forms thriving in darkness and pressure. And their existence tells us something important about our planet. Life is incredibly resilient. It can survive in frozen polar seas, in boiling hydrothermal vents, and even in the deepest trenches of the ocean. Yet the creatures we have discovered in the Mariana Trench may represent only a small fraction of the life that exists there. Much of this hidden world remains unexplored. There may be many species still waiting to be discovered in the silent depths. But the Mariana Trench is remarkable not only because of the creatures that live there. It is also a place where sunlight never reaches. A world where life must survive without the energy that powers most ecosystems on Earth. In the next part of our journey, we will explore how life in the deepest ocean manages to survive without sunlight at all. A quiet ecosystem sustained by surprising sources of energy far beneath the waves. As we continue drifting through the silent depths of the Mariana Trench, one thing becomes very clear. This is a world where the sun does not exist. Far above the surface of the ocean, sunlight powers nearly all life on Earth. Plants capture light through photosynthesis. Tiny algae float near the surface and form the foundation of the ocean's food web. Fish feed on smaller fish, and the entire ecosystem depends on energy that ultimately comes from the sunday. But here, nearly 11 kilometers below the surface, sunlight has long since disappeared. In fact, sunlight fades completely long before the trench even begins. At around 1,000 meters deep, the last faint traces of sunlight vanish into darkness. Everything below that depth exists in permanent night, and the Mariana Trench lies far deeper still. So the question naturally arises, how can life survive in a place where sunlight never reaches? The answer reveals one of the most fascinating features of deep ocean ecosystems. Life here does not depend on sunlight. Instead, it relies on other sources of energy. One of the most important of these sources is the slow rain of organic material drifting down from the upper ocean. Scientists sometimes refer to this constant fall of particles as marine snow. It is not snow in the usual sense. Instead, it consists of tiny fragments of organic matter, pieces of dead plankton, bits of algae, microscopic organisms, and other particles that slowly sink through the water. Over time, these particles drift downward like a soft snowfall through the dark ocean. Some of them eventually reach the sea floor of the Mariana Trench. For the animals living in the hadal zone, this steady rain of organic material provides an important source of food. Small crustaceans crawl through the sediments searching for these nutrients. Worm-like creatures burrow through the mud, and tiny microorganisms break down the particles into simpler chemical compounds that other organisms can use. But marine snow is not the only source of energy in the deep ocean. In some parts of the ocean floor, another extraordinary process supports life. This process is known as chemosynthesis. Unlike photosynthesis, which uses sunlight as its energy source, chemosynthesis relies on chemical reactions. Certain microorganisms are able to use chemicals from the Earth's interior, such as hydrogen sulfide or methane, to produce energy. These chemicals are often released through underwater geological features like hydrothermal vents or cracks in the seafloor. In these locations, hot fluids rich in dissolved minerals escape from beneath the Earth's crust and mix with the cold ocean water. The result is an environment filled with chemical energy. Special bacteria and archaea living near these vents can use this chemical energy to produce organic material. In effect, they form the base of an entirely different kind of food chain, one that does not rely on sunlight at all. Although hydrothermal vents are more common along mid-ocean ridges than in the deepest trenches, similar chemical processes can still contribute to deep ocean ecosystems. These microbial communities provide food for other organisms living nearby. Small animals feed on the bacteria, larger creatures feed on the smaller ones, and slowly, a complex ecosystem emerges even in total darkness. The creatures living in these environments must also adapt to the extreme conditions of the deep sea. Without sunlight, many animals do not rely on vision as their primary sense. Some species have extremely sensitive eyes capable of detecting the faintest glimmers of bioluminescent light. Others have reduced or even absent eyes, relying instead on touch, chemical signals, or vibrations in the water. Many deep-sea animals possess specialized sensory organs that help them detect movement in the dark. Tiny shifts in water currents may reveal the presence of prey or predators nearby. These subtle signals become incredibly important in an environment where visibility is almost non-existent. Body structures also change in response to the deep-sea environment. Some animals develop long antennae or delicate feelers that help them explore their surroundings. Others have soft, flexible bodies designed to withstand extreme pressure. In addition, many deep-sea organisms move slowly. Food is limited in the trench, so conserving energy is essential for survival. Fast movement would require more energy than the environment can easily provide. Instead, many animals drift gently through the water or crawl slowly across the sediments of the seafloor. Their movements are quiet and deliberate. Life in the Mariana Trench is not fast-paced or dramatic. It is calm, patient, and perfectly adapted to the environment. Even reproduction must be carefully timed. Some deep-sea species release eggs or larvae that drift slowly through the water until they settle on the seafloor. Others produce fewer offspring but invest more energy in each one. Every strategy reflects the challenges of living in an environment where resources are limited and conditions are extreme. Yet despite these challenges, life continues to thrive. The deep ocean demonstrates something remarkable about biology. Life does not always require sunlight. It can adapt to darkness. It can survive under crushing pressure. And it can build entire ecosystems using chemical energy instead of solar energy. The Mariana Trench is one of the clearest examples of this resilience. Even in the deepest, darkest places on Earth, life finds a way to persist. And yet, for most of human history, we knew almost nothing about these hidden ecosystems. The trench remained a mysterious world far beyond the reach of our technology. It was only in the last century that humans finally began to explore this silent realm. And as we will soon discover, the story of exploring the Mariana Trench is one of patience, engineering, and remarkable journeys into the deepest parts of our planet. In the next part of our descent, we will follow the explorers who first attempted to reach the bottom of the Mariana Trench and the extraordinary machines that made those journeys possible. For most of human history, the Mariana Trench existed only as an idea on a map. Sailors crossed the Pacific Ocean for centuries without realizing that beneath their ships lay the deepest place on Earth. The trench itself was hidden under kilometers of water, far beyond the reach of early exploration. It was not until the late 19th century that scientists first began to measure the depths of the ocean. One of the earliest surveys of the trench occurred during an expedition by the British research ship HMS Challenger in the 1870s. Using long-weighted ropes to measure depth, the crew discovered that the ocean in this region was far deeper than anyone had expected. Their measurements revealed a vast underwater valley, the deepest yet recorded. In honor of that expedition, the deepest part of the trench was later named Challenger Deep. But knowing about the trench and actually visiting it are two very different things. For many decades, the extreme pressure and darkness of the trench made exploration seem almost impossible. The deeper a vessel descends, the stronger the pressure becomes. At the bottom of the Mariana Trench, the crushing force of the water is so powerful that ordinary submarines would collapse instantly. To survive these conditions, explorers needed an entirely new kind of vehicle. One of the most famous deep-sea vessels ever built was the bathyscaphe Trieste. The Trieste was designed in the 1950s by Swiss engineer Auguste Piccard and later operated by the United States Navy. Unlike traditional submarines, which are shaped like long tubes, the Trieste used a very different design. At its core was a thick steel sphere that served as the crew compartment. The walls of this sphere were extremely thick, allowing it to withstand the enormous pressure of the deep ocean. Above the sphere sat a large flotation chamber filled with gasoline. Gasoline is lighter than water, so it helped the vessel remain buoyant even at great depths. This unusual design allowed the Trieste to descend deeper than any previous submarine. On the 23rd of January 1960, the Trieste began one of the most extraordinary journeys in the history of ocean exploration. Inside the small steel sphere were two men, Jacques Piccard, the son of the vessel's designer, and U.S. Navy Lieutenant Don Walsh. Their mission was simple in concept, but incredibly challenging in practice. They would attempt to reach the bottom of the Mariana Trench. The descent took nearly 5 hours. Slowly, the bathyscaphe sank deeper and deeper through the dark ocean. As they passed through the layers of the sea, sunlight faded, and the water outside their small window became completely black. The pressure outside the vessel increased steadily. At depths where ordinary submarines could never survive, the Trieste continued its silent descent. Finally, after hours of careful travel, the explorers reached the bottom of Challenger Deep. The depth was nearly 11 kilometers below the surface. Through their small viewing window, they saw a quiet landscape of fine sediments covering the ocean floor. A thin cloud of particles drifted slowly through the water, stirred by the arrival of their vessel. For a brief moment, they were the deepest humans on Earth. Their visit to the trench floor lasted only about 20 minutes, but it proved something extraordinary. Humans could reach the deepest part of the ocean. After the Trieste mission, deep-sea exploration continued to advance slowly as technology improved. Robotic vehicles were developed that could descend into the trench without risking human lives. These machines, known as ROVs, or remotely operated vehicles, are controlled from ships at the ocean surface using long cables. ROVs carry cameras, robotic arms, and scientific instruments that allow researchers to study the seafloor in detail. They can collect samples of sediments, photograph deep-sea creatures, and measure the chemical properties of the water. Because they are unmanned, ROVs can remain underwater for long periods of time. Over the years, they have helped scientists map parts of the Mariana Trench and discover new species living in its depths. Yet the dream of sending humans back to the bottom of the trench remained. For more than 50 years after the Trieste mission, no one returned to Challenger Deep. Then, in 2012, a remarkable expedition changed that. Film director and explorer James Cameron led a mission to descend alone into the Mariana Trench. Cameron had long been fascinated by the deep ocean and worked with engineers to design a new submersible called Deep Sea Challenger. Unlike the large bathyscaphe Trieste, this new vessel was tall and narrow, shaped almost like a vertical torpedo. It was built using advanced materials that could withstand the immense pressure of the deep ocean. On the 26th of March 2012, Cameron began his descent into Challenger Deep. Inside the cramped cockpit of the submersible, he slowly traveled downward through the layers of the ocean. Like the explorers before him, he watched the sunlight disappear and the darkness grow deeper. After about 2.5 hours, his submersible reached the bottom of the Mariana Trench. For several hours, Cameron explored the seafloor, capturing high-definition images and collecting scientific samples. His journey demonstrated how far deep-sea technology had advanced since the Trieste mission. Today, new generations of deep-sea submersibles and robotic explorers continue to investigate the Mariana Trench. Some vehicles are capable of diving repeatedly to the deepest depths. Others are designed to map the seafloor with incredible precision using sonar. Yet despite these technological achievements, the Mariana Trench remains largely unexplored. Only a small portion of its vast underwater landscape has been carefully studied. Much of the trench floor still lies hidden in darkness. But each expedition brings new discoveries. Strange organisms, unexpected geological formations, and new insights into the mysterious world beneath the ocean. In the next part of our journey, we will explore some of the surprising discoveries scientists have made while studying the Mariana Trench. Because even in the deepest and most remote places on Earth, nature continues to reveal new wonders waiting to be discovered. When scientists first began exploring the Mariana Trench, many expected to find a barren and silent landscape. The conditions seemed far too extreme for complexity. Crushing pressure, eternal darkness, near-freezing temperatures. It seemed likely that the trench floor would be little more than an empty stretch of mud. But the deeper researchers explored, the more they realized how surprising the hadal world could be. The Mariana Trench has revealed many strange discoveries creatures never seen before, unusual geological formations, and even mysterious sounds drifting through the deep ocean. One of the most remarkable discoveries has been the number of new species living in the trench. Every time scientists send cameras or robotic vehicles into the hadal zone, they often encounter animals that have never been documented before. These organisms are usually small and delicate. Some resemble translucent shrimp with long antennae. Others look like pale worms gently moving through the soft sediments of the seafloor. Because sunlight never reaches the trench, Many of these creatures have evolved bodies that appear almost ghost-like in the dim lights of exploration vehicles. Their skin may be nearly transparent. Their eyes may be tiny or even absent. Instead of relying on sight, they use chemical signals and subtle vibrations in the water to sense their surroundings. In some cases, researchers have observed animals that seem almost unreal. Delicate sea cucumbers drifting just above the seafloor. Strange amphipods with curved bodies that crawl through the sediments. And tiny organisms whose structures appear perfectly adapted to life under extreme pressure. Each expedition into the trench reveals new forms of life that scientists are still trying to understand. But the Mariana Trench is not only home to unusual creatures, it also contains unique geological formations that tell the story of Earth's dynamic interior. The floor of the trench is often covered in very fine sediments particles that have slowly settled from the upper ocean over thousands of years. These sediments form a soft layer of mud that can be several meters thick. Yet beneath that quiet layer lies a complex geological landscape. Scientists studying the trench have found evidence of underwater landslides, deep cracks in the seafloor, and unusual rock formations created by the slow movement of tectonic plates. The trench is constantly shaped by the same geological forces that formed it in the first place. As the Pacific plate continues to sink beneath the Philippine Sea plate, the seafloor bends and shifts. Tiny earthquakes sometimes ripple through the trench walls as the plates move against each other. These movements are usually too small to be noticed at the surface. But deep below the ocean, they slowly reshape the landscape. The sediments of the trench also contain clues about the history of Earth's oceans. By collecting cores of deep-sea mud, scientists can examine layers of particles that have accumulated over millions of years. Each layer may contain tiny shells from plankton, fragments of volcanic ash, or other materials carried by ocean currents. By studying these layers, researchers can learn about past climates, ocean circulation patterns, and even ancient volcanic eruptions. In this way, the Mariana Trench acts almost like a natural archive of Earth's history. But perhaps one of the most intriguing discoveries in the deep ocean has been the presence of mysterious sounds. Although the trench itself is extremely quiet, the deep ocean is not completely silent. Sensitive hydrophones, underwater microphones have recorded strange noises echoing through the depths. Some sounds come from distant earthquakes or underwater landslides. Others may be produced by marine animals communicating through low-frequency vibrations. One particularly unusual sound recorded in the Pacific Ocean was nicknamed the Western Pacific Biotwang. It resembled the sound of a vibrating metal cable, a strange twanging noise drifting through the deep water. For a time, scientists were unsure what created it. Eventually, researchers determined that the sound likely came from a type of whale, whose calls change as they travel through different layers of ocean water. Even so, the deep ocean still holds many acoustic mysteries. Because sound travels very efficiently through water, noises produced far away can sometimes travel great distances through the ocean. This means that the Mariana Trench occasionally receives echoes of activity happening hundreds or even thousands of kilometers away. These sounds drift slowly through the dark water, adding to the quiet but complex environment of the deep sea. Another surprising discovery made in the trench is the presence of human pollution. Despite being one of the most remote places on Earth, traces of plastic and chemical pollutants have been detected even at these depths. Tiny fragments of plastic have been found in sediment samples collected from the trench floor. This discovery reminds us that the oceans of our planet are deeply interconnected. Materials that enter the ocean at the surface can eventually sink to the deepest places on Earth. Even the Mariana Trench, the most remote environment on the planet, is not completely untouched by human activity. Yet despite these challenges, the trench remains a place of wonder and discovery. Every mission into the depths reveals new details about the hidden world beneath the ocean. New species continue to be identified. strange geological features are mapped, and scientists slowly build a better understanding of this mysterious environment. The Mariana Trench reminds us that even on our own planet, there are still places that remain largely unexplored. The deep ocean remains one of the final frontiers of Earth science, and the discoveries made there help us understand not only our oceans, but the processes that shape the entire planet. But the trench is not only a place of scientific curiosity, it also plays an important role in the larger systems that keep our planet functioning. In the next part of our journey, we will explore how the Mariana Trench and other deep ocean environments influence the health of Earth's oceans and the balance of our planet's ecosystems. As we continue our quiet journey through the Mariana Trench, it becomes clear that this deep valley in the ocean floor is not just a remote and mysterious place. It is also part of a much larger system that helps shape the health of our planet. Even though the trench lies far beneath the ocean surface, its environment is connected to global cycles that influence the atmosphere, the oceans, and the living world above. One of the most important of these systems is the carbon cycle. Carbon is a fundamental element for life on Earth. It moves continuously between the atmosphere, the oceans, living organisms, and the planet's crust. Plants absorb carbon dioxide from the air through photosynthesis. Animals breathe oxygen and release carbon back into the atmosphere. Oceans absorb large amounts of carbon dioxide from the air and store it within their waters. Over time, some of this carbon eventually sinks into the deep ocean. Tiny organisms that live near the surface of the ocean capture carbon as they grow. When they die, their remains begin a slow journey downward through the water column. These particles drift gently through the darkness, forming what scientists often call marine snow. This slow rain of organic material may take days or even weeks to reach the ocean floor. When it finally arrives, the carbon becomes part of the sediments that cover the seabed. In deep ocean trenches like the Mariana Trench, this process becomes especially important. Because the trench is shaped like a long, steep valley, particles drifting downward tend to accumulate along its slopes and at its bottom. Over thousands and even millions of years, these sediments build up layer by layer. Each layer contains tiny fragments of organic material, microscopic shells, volcanic ash, and minerals carried by ocean currents. The trench therefore acts as a natural storage site for carbon. By trapping organic material within deep sediments, the trench helps remove carbon from the active cycles of the atmosphere and surface ocean. In this way, deep ocean environments play a quiet but important role in regulating Earth's climate over very long timescales. Scientists sometimes refer to this process as carbon sequestration. It is one of the ways the planet naturally balances the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. But the sediments of the Mariana Trench do not only contain natural materials. In recent decades, researchers studying the trench have discovered something unexpected. Even in this remote and isolated environment, human-made pollution has been found. Samples collected from the trench floor have revealed traces of plastic fragments, synthetic chemicals, and other pollutants. These materials likely began their journey far away at the ocean surface. Plastic debris entering the ocean can break down into smaller and smaller pieces over time. Some fragments float near the surface for years. Others slowly sink through the water column. Eventually, some of these particles reach the deepest parts of the ocean. Finding plastic pollution in the Mariana Trench was surprising and troubling for scientists. It demonstrated that even the most remote environments on Earth are connected to human activity. Ocean currents and gravity carry materials across enormous distances. What enters the ocean at the surface may eventually reach even the deepest trenches. Yet the trench still plays an important role in the broader functioning of the planet. The deep ocean helps regulate global temperatures by storing large amounts of heat and carbon. It also supports complex ecosystems that influence nutrient cycles throughout the oceans. Even the microorganisms living in the sediments of the trench contribute to these processes. These tiny organisms break down organic matter and recycle nutrients that eventually return to the ocean's food webs. Although their activity happens slowly and quietly, it forms part of the vast network of interactions that keep Earth's ecosystems balanced. The Mariana Trench also provides scientists with valuable information about the long-term history of the planet. Sediment layers at the bottom of the trench can preserve records of past environmental conditions. By examining these layers, researchers can learn about ancient climate changes, volcanic eruptions, and shifts in ocean circulation that occurred thousands or even millions of years ago. Each layer of sediment acts like a page in a history book, written by the ocean itself. Together, they tell the story of how Earth's environment has changed over time. Because the trench collects sediments from such a wide area, it provides a particularly rich archive of this information. Scientists studying these records can better understand how the planet responds to natural changes and how human activity may be influencing those systems today. In this way, the Mariana Trench is not simply a distant and mysterious location. It is part of a much larger planetary system, a quiet but important component of the processes that shape Earth's climate, oceans, and ecosystems. Even though the trench lies nearly 11 kilometers beneath the sea, its influence reaches far beyond its dark walls. The slow movement of carbon, nutrients, and sediments through the ocean connects the deepest trenches with the surface waters above, and those connections ultimately affect life across the entire planet. Yet despite everything scientists have learned about the Mariana Trench, much of it still remains unexplored. The deep ocean continues to hold many mysteries. New technologies are allowing researchers to study these environments more closely than ever before. And in the years ahead, exploration of the trench may reveal even more about the hidden systems that help keep our planet in balance. In the next part of our journey, we will look toward the future of deep ocean exploration and the new tools that may one day allow us to explore the Mariana Trench in greater detail than ever before. Even though the Mariana Trench is the deepest place on Earth, much of it remains unknown. In fact, scientists often say that we know more about the surface of the Moon than we do about the deepest parts of our own oceans. Large areas of the trench have never been seen by human eyes. Only a few small regions have been carefully explored, and even those glimpses have raised new questions about the hidden world beneath the sea. For this reason, the future of ocean exploration is becoming one of the most exciting areas of scientific research. New technologies are allowing scientists to reach deeper, travel farther, and study the ocean floor in ways that were once impossible. One of the most important tools in this effort is the deep sea robot. These machines are specially designed to survive the extreme pressure of the deep ocean. Unlike human divers, robots can remain underwater for long periods of time without needing air or protection from cold temperatures. Some of these machines are called ROVs, or remotely operated vehicles. ROVs are connected to research ships by long cables that provide power and communication. Scientists on the ship control the robot using joysticks and computer systems. Cameras mounted on the robot transmit live video from the deep ocean floor. Robotic arms allow the vehicle to collect rocks, sediments, and biological samples. With these tools, scientists can study the trench without exposing human explorers to the dangers of extreme pressure. Other deep-sea robots operate without cables. These vehicles are known as autonomous underwater vehicles, or AUVs. Instead of being controlled directly from the surface, AUVs follow pre-programmed routes through the ocean. They can travel for hours or even days while mapping the seafloor and collecting data. After completing their mission, the vehicles return to the surface where scientists retrieve the information they gathered. These robotic explorers have already revealed remarkable details about the shape of the ocean floor. Using sonar and advanced imaging systems, they can create highly detailed maps of underwater landscapes. These maps show the slopes of trenches, the shapes of underwater mountains, and the patterns of sediments covering the seafloor. Mapping the ocean floor is an enormous challenge. The oceans cover more than 70% of the Earth's surface, and much of that area lies in deep water. Even today, large portions of the seafloor have only been mapped in rough detail. But new international projects aim to change that. One effort, known as Seabed 2030, seeks to create a complete high-resolution map of the entire ocean floor by the year 2030. By combining data from research vessels, robotic vehicles, and satellite measurements, scientists hope to produce the most accurate map of the ocean ever created. Such maps will help researchers better understand ocean circulation, geological activity, and deep-sea ecosystems. They may also reveal previously unknown trenches, volcanic ridges, and underwater mountains hidden beneath the waves. In addition to mapping the seafloor, scientists are developing new technologies that can explore the deep ocean more efficiently. Some research teams are experimenting with swarm robots, groups of small underwater vehicles that can explore large areas of the ocean together. Others are designing pressure-resistant cameras and sensors capable of operating at extreme depths for long periods of time. Advances in material science are also helping engineers build stronger and lighter submersibles. New alloys and composite materials allow deep-sea vehicles to withstand pressure while remaining maneuverable and efficient. These technologies may eventually make deep ocean exploration more accessible and more frequent. In the future, research vessels may deploy fleets of robotic explorers to investigate entire sections of the ocean floor simultaneously. These machines could search for new species, monitor geological activity, and collect environmental data across vast regions of the deep sea. Yet even with these powerful tools, the deep ocean will remain a challenging environment to study. The darkness, pressure, and immense distances involved make exploration slow and complex. But the rewards of these efforts are significant. Each expedition into the deep ocean reveals new information about our planet. Scientists have already discovered organisms with unusual biological adaptations that may help us understand how life survives under extreme conditions. Some researchers believe that studying deep-sea microbes may even provide clues about how life could exist on other planets or moons. For example, icy moons such as Europa or Enceladus are thought to contain oceans beneath their frozen surfaces. These oceans may resemble the deep environments of Earth's own oceans, where life survives without sunlight. By studying the Mariana Trench, scientists may gain insights into the kinds of life that could exist elsewhere in the universe. The trench is therefore not only a place of earthly mystery, but also a window into broader questions about life and planetary environments. Even today, the Mariana Trench holds many secrets. Entire ecosystems may remain undiscovered. New species may still live in its depths, waiting to be observed for the first time. Strange geological formations may lie hidden along the trench walls, and chemical processes occurring in the sediments may influence the larger systems of Earth's oceans. Every journey into the trench expands our understanding of the planet we live on. Yet for most people, the Mariana Trench will remain a place of imagination, a silent world far beneath the waves. A world of darkness and pressure, of strange creatures and ancient geological forces. A world that reminds us how much of our own planet still remains unexplored. And as our journey through the depths comes to a close, we are left with one final thought. The deepest place on Earth is not empty. It is alive with quiet processes, hidden ecosystems, and geological forces slowly shaping the ocean floor. Even in the darkest corners of the planet, there are still stories waiting to be discovered. And perhaps that quiet mystery is what makes the Mariana Trench such a fascinating place to explore. In the final moments of our journey tonight, we will step back from the depths and reflect on the silent beauty of the deep ocean, a place where darkness and stillness stretch farther than we can easily imagine. As our quiet journey through the Mariana Trench slowly comes to an end, it is worth remembering just how mysterious our own planet still is. When we look at maps of Earth, the continents and oceans seem familiar. We see the shapes of countries, the outlines of coastlines, the great blue expanses of the seas, yet most of the ocean remains largely unexplored. More than 70% of our planet is covered by water, and much of the deep ocean floor has never been directly seen. Beneath the calm surface of the sea lies an enormous hidden world, a landscape of trenches, mountains, valleys, and plains stretching across the planet. Among these hidden places, the Mariana Trench stands as one of the most extraordinary. It is the deepest point on Earth, a silent valley carved into the ocean floor by powerful geological forces that have been shaping the planet for millions of years. Down there, nearly 11 kilometers beneath the surface, the ocean becomes a place of profound stillness. The water is cold, the darkness is complete, and the pressure is greater than almost anywhere else on Earth. Yet even in that extreme environment, life continues. Delicate creatures move quietly across the sediments. Tiny organisms drift through the black water, and the slow processes of the planet continue, unseen by the world above. The Mariana Trench reminds us that our planet still holds many mysteries. Even after centuries of exploration, vast parts of the ocean remain unknown. New species may still be waiting to be discovered. Hidden geological formations may lie along the slopes of the trench, and quiet ecosystems may exist far beyond the reach of sunlight. But perhaps the most peaceful way to think about the trench is not as a place of darkness or pressure. Instead, imagine it as a silent world beneath the waves, a place where time moves slowly, where sediments settle gently onto the sea floor, where distant sounds travel softly through the water, and where the deep ocean rests in calm and quiet darkness. Now, as you begin to relax and prepare for sleep, you might imagine yourself slowly drifting downward through the ocean. The surface water above becomes softer and dimmer. The light fades. The world grows quieter. You pass through layers of blue water into the vast midnight depths. Below you lies the trench, a peaceful valley resting in the stillness of the deep sea. The ocean currents move slowly. Particles drift gently through the water, and everything feels calm and quiet. Let your mind follow that slow descent. Deeper, calmer, more peaceful with every moment. The world above grows distant, and the deep ocean becomes a place of rest. Thank you for spending this quiet time exploring one of the most mysterious places on Earth. Wherever you are listening tonight, I hope this journey through the Mariana Trench has helped your mind slow down and relax. Now it's time to rest. Good night. Sleep peacefully, and let the soft sound of the ocean guide you gently into sleep.